Hello and welcome to an episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason in Canastota, New York, home of the International Boxing Hall of Fame, and that's exactly where I'm at. It's definitely a really cool place, and mind you, I'm not really a boxing expert or fan. I mean, I don't follow boxing in any way, but I know there are several people out there that do, and hopefully they will appreciate this video. But why is it here in Canastota, New York? I'll tell you more about that later on. We're going to be going inside the museum. There's lots of cool stuff to explore inside this museum, and this museum is actually two parts. There's the museum part, and then there's where you can see the Madison Square Garden ring, and then there's the gift shop. But like I said, I mean, if you're anywhere in central New York, especially around Canastota, I totally recommend this. I mean, yeah, I've heard of a few. I mean, a lot of names come to mind, like George Foreman, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, you know, people that everyone else has heard of, Evander Holyfield, and then you have fictional people like Rocky Balboa. And by the way, Sylvester Stallone is inducted here. I'll show you about that. That is actually the museum, the actual museum, where you pay the admission and then you explore the sites and everything. But in that building over there is the gift shop. And like I said, this is an International Boxing Hall of Fame, so any other place in the world, if it has one, I don't know. But of course, all these flags represent where all the great boxers come from. Like there's Brazil, there's Canada, many others. So it looks like a small building. So we're just gonna go ahead and come in, and I'll pay the fee and check it out. And the first thing you see upon entering, welcome to the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Our mission is to honor and preserve boxing's rich heritage, chronicle the achievements of those who excelled, and provide an educational experience for our many visitors. A little exhibit on hometown hero Carmen Basilio, when he made the cover of Sports Illustrated in 1957, among many others. And over here it talks about why this is in Canastota, New York, and because it had two world champions, Carmen Basilio and then his nephew Billy Backus, who are both pictured here. That is Basilio, that is Backus. And there are also many other reasons too why this is here in Canastota, but if you just want to kind of read through this and scroll and pause. And like I said, ironically, a couple days ago, or last weekend, that was when the 2023 Hall of Fame class was inducted. And here's some past photos, like Mike Tyson, Oscar De La Hoya, Sugar Ray Leonard, Muhammad Ali, Sly Stallone, George Foreman, Thomas Hearns, and even some of the inductees visiting their plaques. And this exhibit also talks about the Madison Square Garden and how important of a role it played in boxing. The statue, of course, is of Billy Backus. I forgot that Teddy Roosevelt was once a boxer as well. The Ring magazine. And here are all the inductees, all the plaques on the wall. Starting with the pioneers, going all the way back to like the 18th century. Actually, before that, because there's some guy born in 1695, James Figg. Look at this guy, he's got his fists and everything pumped up. And then you got the old timers, including, again, Jack Dempsey, the Manasseh Mauler. I mean, there's so many. I mean, if you're definitely into boxing, I mean, you'll definitely find your hero somewhere on this wall, be it hometown Carmen Basilio or Muhammad Ali or Sugar Ray Leonard. And if you go on this wall, you'll find familiar favorites like Floyd Mayweather. And where did I see Mike Tyson at? He's somewhere. And here is Mike Tyson. Michael Gerard Tyson, also known as Iron Mike. He was inducted here in 2011, and he was literally at the ceremony. So I mean, it was definitely a big deal. And he did tour this museum. There is a YouTube video. Once you're done watching this one, you can check it out. And unlike most sports like football and baseball and maybe some others, there's also non-participants. Like these were people who were promoters and like the publisher of the Ring magazine. And Howard Cosell, who we all know was a broadcast journalist. And then you had Sylvester Stallone, who hopefully we all know, Rocky. And he was actually here too at this induction ceremony in 2011 as well. Apparently thousands of people showed up to this place at the time for obvious reasons. And here's some more non-participants, like Britain's leading promoter in the late 20th and early 21st centuries. And then from a different part of the world, Asia's leading promoter, Lopi Sariel. I wish I knew. Unfortunately, I can't pronounce his name. I hope I got it right. And in front of this wall is the Jacobs collection. These are fist castings of many of boxing's greats. This collection of fists were cast in the 1920s to the 1940s by Dr. Walter Jacobs of New York. So if you want an idea of how big certain boxers' fists were like Jack Johnson, for instance. Here's one on the women of boxing in the modern era, and that is Muhammad Ali's daughter. And this here is like a timeline of boxing, like the golden 50s. This was a bag that was used by boxing greats such as Roberto Duran, Mike Tyson, Ray Mancini. And this was at the Times Square gym in New York City. And a lot of the superstar boxers have a little exhibit of their own, including Mike Tyson. Here's a little program from 1986 and a little iron casting of his fist. Here's one of Michael Spinks, who was from St. Louis. He was the heavyweight champion of the world from 85 to 87. And Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber. Now, he is buried in Arlington National Cemetery. I remember seeing his gravesite several years ago. And I can't leave out the great George Foreman. And even though he's known for his culinary skills today, I mean, he was definitely a badass back in his day. And Muhammad Ali. And here's another room. Has a lot more iron castings. Here's some classic posters of all eras. And one of my favorite documentary movies, When We Were Kings, it talks about the famous fight between George Foreman and Muhammad Ali, which took place in Zaire, which is now the Republic of Congo. This was a ticket of that event. And that right there is the gift shop. And through those doors over there, you can see an actual ring. But ironically, 2 days ago, or last weekend, the 2023 inductees were enshrined here. So I imagine that was a stage that helped commemorate that. And I don't know how many people showed up, but I imagine a great crowd did for the festivities. Okay, I fibbed a little bit. You had to go through the gift shop doors to see this, but this is cool. The world's most famous ring. It was at Madison Square Garden. It was donated here in 2007. And here it just talks about the long list of legends that fought on this. Probably can't even see the names, but I think it's safe to say, whether or not you know. But Muhammad Ali fought on here 8 times, his daughter once. Like Jake LaMotta, 17 times. But I'm just going to kind of take you through the history. The fight of the century, Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier, took place here. Wow. Here's some more stuff on this way. The museum workers said they were rearranging stuff because they had a lot of stuff going on, you know, during the induction ceremony a couple days ago. So please excuse the mess, he said. Here's an autographed Life magazine cover of Joe Frazier. Oh man, Muhammad Ali is trying to scare the heck out of his opponent. Wow. These are copies of checks. This one, they're both actually worth $2.5 million. Sent to both Muhammad Ali, the one on top, and then Joe Frazier's was the one on the bottom. Where were you March 8th, 1971? Well, I was not even born yet. I was born 10 years later. Okay, here's a little CompuBox. Okay, so this is where the statistics were first cast on HBO's telecast in 1985. Okay, interesting stuff. And you know, another thing that comes to mind for whatever reason is, I wonder if they're ever going to consider inducting Tony Danza. A lot of people forget that before he was a famous actor, you know, as Tony Maselli on Who's the Boss, among other roles, Angels in the Outfield, all that, he was actually a professional boxer. So I wonder if they're ever going to consider putting him in the Hall of Fame. Just a thought. All right, well, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Historically Marked. I hope you learned a lot as much as I did about the great sport of boxing. So I'll see you guys soon. Stay tuned for more episodes. I am Jason in Canastota, New York, signing off.